It's that time of year again where we need to be focused on immune support. Not like we haven't been focused on immune support all year, but how many of you are also overwhelmed with all the options? Hi everyone, this is Christy Grayson, the health coach at Natural Grocers in South Aurora. I'm excited to be with you today talking about Immune Support 101. Before we begin, a little bit about me. I have a bachelor's in biology and I have a master's in education. And it was through my own health journey that got me interested in nutrition and healthy lifestyle practices, and also my passion for education in sharing that information with others. Just as a reminder, this class is not intended to diagnose, treat, or mitigate any disease. Dietary supplements and foods can interact with prescription medications, so if you're taking a prescription medication, please become informed about the possible interactions. You may remember that our company is a family-owned company, and we're built on these 5 founding principles. The one I'd like to highlight with you today is our focus on nutrition education, which is one of the things that brings me here with you today. We feel it's incredibly important to provide the latest scientific information with regards to nutrition to our customers and our employees. So in starting on our discussion on immune support, I'd like to ask you first, what is the immune system? Looking at these options below, I'd like for you to consider what you would select. Is it A, cells that fight off infections? B, proteins that neutralize toxins? C, barriers against pathogens? D, healthy bacteria living in our gut? Or E, all of the above? So what do you think? If you guessed E, all of the above, you would be correct, because our immune system is highly organized, highly complex, and it's all of these things and so much more. So in talking about our immune system, let's start with the first line of defense. We call those our immune barriers. They include our skin, which have antimicrobial lipids, our mucous membranes, which are located in our nose, mouth, throat, gastrointestinal tract, urogenital tract, and proteins in the bloodstream that kill pathogens and neutralize toxins like antibodies or other proteins. And you'll remember that pathogens are considered an infectious agent such as a virus, bacterium, or many others. So the basics of our immune response is that it's mounted if a pathogen or immune provocative substance penetrates that barrier. So if it passes the skin, the mucous membranes, and those proteins, then our immune system is going to mount a response, and you can think of them as like an army. Local immune cells are responsible for immunosurveillance, and they are the first responders. They recognize molecular patterns that are unique to bacteria and viruses. They recruit more immune cells, and they notify the body with danger signals like inflammation by producing inflammatory molecules. When all these inflammatory molecules are produced, inflammation is the product. When we look at the time course of inflammation in the graph to the right, for a healthy immune response, we see that inflammation peaks early on during immune response, and then it tapers off as the infection is cleared. Pro-resolving and anti-inflammatory signals help ensure that inflammation does not remain chronically elevated. We want our immune system to fight. Inflammation allows immune cells to communicate with one another. Pro-inflammatory signals are produced early, and anti-inflammatory or pro-resolving signals are produced later. The purpose of inflammation is really twofold. It recruits and it activates immune cells. It recruits them to the site of infection. Phagocytes eat and destroy pathogens, mostly bacteria. Antiviral cells destroy infected cells. Helper cells then notify those specialized immune cells that there is a problem. And there can be other physiological changes that occur in the body that make it less conducive to pathogen replication. So we have a massive replication that occurs in our immune system to rapidly increase cell numbers. This is why your lymph nodes swell when you're sick. It can take 7 to 10 days for these specialized cells to be ready to fight an infection, and that's because this is a very energy-intensive process. So specialized cells are going to orchestrate the attack by traveling to the site, and they'll do that either by stimulating other immune cells to clear the infection or stimulating other cells to make antibodies to clear the infection. Once the infection is cleared, the immunological memory develops, tissue rebuilding begins, and inflammation subsides, as you can see in comparison to our chart a few slides prior. When our immune system does not resolve properly, chronic inflammation can develop. Inflammation that does not taper off after an immune response has finished would be an example of chronic inflammation. Or not an example, it would be chronic inflammation. Excessive production of free radicals can also result from chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation destroys tissues and suppresses the immune system. What we just described is the development of an autoimmune condition using a very, very simplified explanation. The immune system has several complex mechanisms to designate between self and foreign proteins. Inflammation, especially chronic inflammation, can cause the disruption of this complex system. It's actually one of the biggest triggers. And the inability to separate self-proteins from non-self proteins leads to autoimmune disease. What about food proteins, though? Well, ideally, the body develops tolerance to food or airborne allergens, but when this goes awry, we see the development of an allergy, which is separate from autoimmunity. So in summary of our immune response, we have one, the barriers, those physical barriers like the gut, skin, mucous membranes, and urogenital tract. If that barrier is then penetrated, immune cells must respond. So inflammation signals that a barrier has been compromised. And then, of course, acute inflammation or healthy levels of inflammation is a key part of a healthy immune response. And chronic inflammation can lead to immune dysfunction. Now, understand that this is a very simplified explanation. Again, our immune system is highly organized and highly specialized. It requires multiple different cell types to communicate properly. They're the very basics. So given these basic concepts, what can we do to support a healthy immune function? Well, we can go to the research, and there is a lot of research on immunonutrition. What is immunonutrition? Immunonutrition is nutrition that supports immune function. Malnutrition is the most common cause of immunodeficiency worldwide. It would be impossible to cover all the research regarding nutrition and immune support, but we'll cover some of the best science and established paradigms. First and foremost, we have to protect our barriers to keep organisms from penetrating initially and to limit inflammatory stimulus such as leaky gut. We want to do that by supporting our skin health. We want to make sure that we do that by having adequate intake of essential fatty acids like omega-3s and omega-6s. Now, omega-6s usually have a bad name. However, there are good omega-6s that do support healthy skin. Those are going to include gamma-linoleic acid, linoleic acid, alpha-linoleic acid. We also want conditionally essential nutrients to support skin health. What is conditionally essential? These are nutrients that become depleted under conditions of severe physiological stress and need to be replaced. In order to support our physical barriers, conditionally essential nutrients for skin health include arginine, which is a precursor to proline, which is used for collagen synthesis and supports nitric oxide production. Vitamin C, and studies show supplements increase collagen deposition. Vitamin C is crucial for the formation of a triple helix collagen structure, which gives collagen its strength. A randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial found an antioxidant blend of vitamin C, E, and zinc reduced oxidative stress, resulting in stronger, healthier barrier. To support the health of your physical barriers, the gastrointestinal tract is a major barrier against pathogens. And we want to support our gastrointestinal tract by utilizing probiotics, which are healthy bacteria that limit growth of undesirable bacteria and support the health of cells. Prebiotics, which are food for our healthy bacteria. And glutamine, which is used as a fuel source by intestinal cells and promotes the replacement of damaged cells with healthy ones. We should also mention that there are certain foods like gluten and alcohol and sugars and all kinds of other things that can damage the barrier, allowing bacteria and food particles to cross the barrier and enhance inflammation. The upper respiratory tract is defended by a mucous membrane containing antimicrobial proteins and IgA, which is immunoglobulin antibodies. Airborne pathogens commonly attack this part of the body. Examples would be influenza and common cold. Studies show that zinc in the form of lozenges or syrup supports immune function in the mouth, nasal passage, throat, and upper respiratory tract. The lozenges may leave an astringent taste in your mouth. This is a sign that it is working, and the zinc has created an electrical gradient in the respiratory tract, maintaining cellular defenses. Zinc also can support the production of immune proteins such as IgA and other peptides. IgA is also very important for protecting mucous membranes such as the gastrointestinal tract and respiratory tract. IgA is made by B cells that reside near the mucous membranes. Secretory IgA is then transported through the cells lining the membranes. And then secretory IgA is released into the mucous lining, the surface of the membrane, where it can protect our barriers from toxins or pathogens. In its secretory form, IgA is the main immunoglobulin found in mucus secretions, including tears, saliva, sweat, colostrum, and secretions from the genitourinary tract, gastrointestinal tract, prostate, and respiratory epithelium. Between 3 and 5 grams are secreted into the intestines each day. Most secretory IgA levels are associated with increased risk of infection in the gastrointestinal tract and respiratory tract. Prebiotics and probiotics have been shown to support healthy IgA levels. Vitamin A deficiency significantly impairs secretory IgA synthesis. Supplementation with cocoa flavonoids has been shown to enhance IgA synthesis in the gastrointestinal tract. When barriers are penetrated, immune cells must respond. And in this regard, immune function is determined by 2 outcomes. 1, having healthy numbers of immune cells available to respond, and 2, immune cells being able to function properly. Stress hormones such as cortisol cause immune cells in the spleen and thymus to die. Cortisol is produced in response to micronutrient deficiencies or protein energy malnutrition. Protein energy malnutrition is common in the developed world in conditions such as inflammatory bowel disease, chronic renal failure, cancer, as well as the elderly or individuals who are hospitalized. The thymus and the spleen are 2 major organs that help produce and house immune cells. And a multivitamin protects against micronutrient deficiency, kind of provides a foundation of those really important vitamins and minerals that we need to consume each day, in addition to in our healthy diet. Most immune cells are relatively short-lived, usually around less than 28 days. Cell turnover requires B vitamins, vitamins B6, folate, and B12. They're required for amino acid and DNA synthesis. which is absolutely required to produce new blood cells such as immune cells. And studies show B vitamins need to be present together to support the optimal immune function. Studies indicate that B vitamins need to be present together to support the optimal immune function, and a deficiency in a single one of them can impair the ability of the body to produce new immune cells. They have other essential roles and biochemical processes required for optimal immune function. Other nutrients that support immune cell numbers or development include vitamin D, probiotics and prebiotics, vitamin C, branched-chain amino acids, and selenium. Probiotics and prebiotics stimulate the development of immune cells, production of antibodies, and produce immunoregulatory metabolites. Almost all immune cells express vitamin D receptors. In one study, taking 1,200 IUs of vitamin D3 daily was shown to support immune function in the upper respiratory tract in school-aged children. Free radicals suppress healthy immune development, and many of vitamin C's immune supportive effects are attributed to its antioxidant function. Branched-chain amino acids activate the developmental pathways in immune cells and support healthy immune cell numbers and function, especially in cases of physiological stress. Selenium deficiency severely decreases the ability of immune cells to function. Other studies show that selenium deficiencies actually allow the virus to become stronger. Mushrooms contain hundreds of different bioactive compounds that exhibit free radical scavenging, inflammation modulating, and immune supporting activity. The cell wall is made of glucans, either alpha glucans or beta glucans, and they produce fungal immunomodulatory proteins. Glucans interact with receptors on immune cells by supporting or modulating immune function. Most studies show glucans support early stages of immune function that are active during the first 1 to 5 days of an immune response. Because of the mechanism by which glucans support immune function, there is also evidence that suggests that they balance immune reactivity towards food-borne irritants. During the resolution phase of the immune system, let's take a look at some nutrition that can support. We have EPA and DHA, unique omega-3 fats that are found in fish oil or algae oil, for those that are vegan, that support balanced levels of inflammation. Turmeric and curcumin, curcumin is an active constituent in turmeric, supports the resolution phase of the immune system. Probiotics support balanced inflammatory responses throughout the body. And vitamin D reduces the creation and activation of overactive immune cells. Having excellent nutrition on a daily basis provides long-term support for the immune system. Avoiding nutrient deficiency is the best way to support your immune system over the long term. Some critical nutrients to get on a daily basis include vitamin A, C, selenium, zinc, B vitamins, probiotics, vitamin D, and healthy fats like coconut oil, olive oil, butter, full-fat grass-fed if possible. Full-fat grass-fed if possible on dairy and organic if possible. Sesame oil, nuts and seeds, avocados, grass-fed meat. There are certain nutrients that can provide timely immune support. Mushroom extracts can provide acute immune support. Vitamin D status often decreases during winter months. And prebiotics and probiotics provide support to the gastrointestinal barrier when traveling. Zinc, in the form of lozenges or syrup, is especially beneficial when taken immediately. And we always have other great resources that are available along your health journey. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Immune Support 101. I'd like to encourage you to stop by your local Natural Grocers and ask for the health coach to set up a free one-on-one coaching session, or check out our resources to support your health goals. Have a great day, everybody.